Okay,
can we start?
Yes. Well, let me formally say welcome to you all. I'm one of the new co-presidents of Pirate Parties International, and I suggest that we first do an introduction to everyone on this table on a somewhat more personal level. Who wants to start?
Okay. I'm Finlay Archibald. I'm one of the board members from Scotland. So well, my background is in maths and statistics, and I've been involved in Pirate Party UK for a couple of years now. Just been really interested in following how the Pirate Party is going internationally. It's how I first came across the Pirate Party, and well, obviously with the Swedish results, and then I went interrailing around Europe a couple of years back, and I was in Berlin during their election campaign. The one they got 2% in was a really, really big deal, really big result for them, and seeing all the sort of posters everywhere, you kind of realise, hey, this is really much bigger than just some kind of end of the news story in some Swedish pirate party, some obscure political party in another country has got this is a really big international thing. So I really want to see that grow further. We've already come quite far with over 40 pirate parties across over six continents, and that's why I've kind of put myself forward to really just develop it.
Yeah, my name is Pat Neffler. I'm the new treasurer. I'm from Switzerland. I'm studying computer science and gender studies in Basel, and I'm really glad that we now have a new board. I've been a promoter of PPI since over a year. I've been involved in the original process where we started building up the formal organization, which was before just an informal network, and I'm really glad that we made it, because this way we can really help all the parties and make a change on a global level, not on a national level.
Well, I'm Samir Alioui, and Patrick just pirated exactly what I wanted to say, because it's entirely true. I've been among the pirates from the beginning as well. I was at the first conference in Vienna till now. I'm the founder of the Dutch Pirate Party. I've been co-president before, and right now what I really want to do is continuation of the professionalization process that's going on within PPI. It's a process that's existing, but I want to kickstart it and be a catalyst for the process that's existing right now.
Hello, my name is Francois Kolaya. I'm a member of the Czech Pirate Party, and I've been elected as a co-president of the PPI. I'm very glad that the member parties trust me, so they elected me. My background is that I'm a free software expert with more than 10-year experience. I've been participating in demonstrations against software patents, and overall in the fight against accepting software patents in Europe. I want to move the PPI to a position that it represents the pirate movement on an international level, and makes a support for the members.
Good afternoon, my name is Lola Veronica. I'm a member of Russian Pirate Party, and I'm a Russian Pirate Party representative in Czech Republic, and today I was elected as Chief Administration Officer of Pirate Party International, and my mission is to create a system and to put Pirate Party International in order.
Hi, my name is Paul da Silva. I'm the president of the French Pirate Party, and I've been elected as member of the board and International Pirate Party. I'm more focused on fundamental rights such as access to information, access to cultural goods, and freedom of speech, which is now possible thanks to the technologies, and that's what I want to defend, and that is something we have to do on an international scale.
Hello, I'm Thomas Gould from the Pirate Party of Germany, International Coordinator for the Pirate Party of Germany too. I've been elected member of the board today, which I'm thankful for. And I know, as I've stated out before in the audio, I was involved in the movement in Tunisia and other MENA countries, so freedom of speech one of my main subjects too.
Okay, maybe, yeah. So I think that we could sum up what happened over here in this weekend, because it wasn't just the board election. So the meeting of the pirate parties over here is meeting of the members and supporters of the PPI, where we discussed the points that the members raised, and I like to point you to the documentation wall that is over here, where you can see the results from the work groups we had over here, and I personally was not the organizer of this meeting, but I very like that, and I like to thank the organizers for organizing this event, and because it was, I think, very fruitful to organize these work groups, because we discussed many issues and concerns we already had.
Any questions?
Yeah, I would say.
Well, your board is quite international. I already got that. I guess every one of you is from a different country, if I got it right?
Yes.
So you got it.
Yeah? Okay.
Interesting things.
Yes, great. Of course.
We didn't thought about that
Before. It's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, pirate party is international.
Exactly.
So.
Okay, so how many countries were here and came together? Like how many different countries? Do you know the number? Like I read something about 19, but I'm not sure if that.
That could be true. However, all the formal results will be put in a press release later.
16 present, 5 remote, and Sweden visiting.
Yeah, these are exactly answers that have the organizers, and we are not really.
Okay.
Exactly. We were not involved in the organization.
Yes.
We will be in the next one.
Yes.
Okay, and could you estimate how many people in general? Just estimate this number, like.
I think the total amount of pirates, you mean, around the world?
No.
we
Here,
participated over
I
here.
really don't know.
100.
For the restaurant, we said something between 70 and 120, but I can't recall. I would have to know, ask a person.
Okay.
Yeah, plus remote participants.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not really any way to tell exactly how many, because a lot of people just kind of watching it on the stream and stuff.
But also because it was allowed to participate remotely as a delegate here, because, like, for example, Canada was participating, but they were not present here as a person, because it takes a lot of time from Canada to Europe.
Okay.
And money. Most of us have ordinary daily jobs and do this work besides daily work.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Pirate Party of Morocco didn't get the visas to Germany.
Okay.
Because Germany feared that it could lead to illegal immigration.
Okay.
Could you please not write down your...
I am sorry to interrupt you, but the General Assembly is still working, and we would like one co-president to come and say his opinion to the proposal about the transparent account.
Okay.
So if you can send one co-president.
Okay. I think I should be present as well as treasurer.
Yes, as treasurer.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And what were the successes of today or of this weekend? Like, what were the successes reached? Like, did you already find a new direction, or I don't know? How do you integrate the events happening, which happened, in the last time, like the revolutions in North Africa and WikiLeaks? Did you discuss about actual events as well, or?
Oh, that's continuously ongoing. I mean, with or without a conference, and everyone's working really hard on that. But I think that you would like to say most about that.
We are still in contact with Tunisia and the Pirate Party of Tunisia because they still have a problem to get a legal status in Tunisia at the moment. They are involved in a way to produce the constitution. You can hear them all about it at the moment, I believe.
About Tunisia, we have a lot of people working there. We have the Secretary of State, who was one of the creators of the Pirate Party of Tunisia. His name is Slima Mahmoud. We were in contact with them earlier because they were actually activists and very interested in the Pirate Party movement. So when in September we helped them create the Pirate Party of Tunisia, so when everything happened, we were ready to help them on any means possible. That meant spreading information, giving them ways to access uncensored internet, and at the moment we will see what it will become. But especially on today and yesterday, we were on open conferences with workshops on a lot of topics, which among them was WikiLeaks, was democracy in North Africa, and a lot of things. The other part will be to sustain these protests and these conquests against dictatorship without interfering to their interior policies. That's not what we want to do as the Pirate Party International. Right?
Correct.
Here's the co-chairman.
Yes, I mean, co-president, and that implies that there is democracy involved. So my will is not what's happening. We're democratic. I'm not a German. I'm not Mao.
Okay, were there other interesting topics discussed in the working groups? Like, could you name other examples of working groups?
There were liquid democracy. That is, if you don't know what it is, it's an idea, system, something very abstract, but that you can concretize into a tool to organize ideas and proposals from everyone among the community to actually take the better of it and reach a consensus every time as possible. That was one of the topics. There were a lot of topics.
26 to be exact. You can read the summaries on the walls over there, and it's a tremendous amount of information. Certainly will find interesting things in it. You can even participate in it if you want and write your remarks under it.
Okay, thanks. With the 2 people missing right now, the board was complete, or?
The board was complete.
Okay, so you do have 2 co-presidents, is that correct?
Correct. Separation of powers. It's
Okay.
quite obvious. We practice what we preach.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
First question is, when the board is complete, there is only one woman. We talked with the Pirate Party of Belgium, who say that it was quite a difficulty, and there is always this cliché that the world of computers is alpha male world. Do you have any politics or conception about how to balance those things?
Well, there is a logical fallacy in that question, because this is not a problem that pirate parties have, this is a problem that political parties have. So yes, political parties have this problem, but that does not imply that it's a pirate party problem as such. But that because we're a pirate party, I mean a political party, it does mean that it's on our agenda. But I don't think that the percentage of females in the pirate parties is higher or lower than an average political party. But we should search for the numbers.
Okay. And another question, do you have contacts with people in Libya? Because Gaddafi has taken back 19% of the territory. So
we do have contact with activists outside of the party who are doing things such as Morse codes over ham radio and things like that for providing help and information.
Okay.
Maybe you are in contact with them, I don't know.
Not directly.
With Libya, that's very complicated
Yes.
because they were not in contact with us before. With Egypt, we managed to get in contact. We are still trying with Libya, but what we can say for sure is that what Gaddafi says is not necessary to be taken as real, because he has already said a lot of things that were not matching reality, such as it's Al-Qaeda who's behind the protests and all your children are drunk and so on and so on. We follow that and we just cannot imagine where he gets his information from, because or from all the sources we have, and that's not direct sources again, but I think we have better sources than him.
Okay, well, I would like to have a final conclusion of the weekend. Could you give me something like that? Something I can write that all the readers, even those who don't know very much about the Pirate Party yet, can have something like what was the final result, or what was the sense of it?
The sense of it?
Yeah, just like one final conclusion or something about the weekend, yeah.
The organization is growing and growing and growing and growing. So even if we don't do anything, we will still have success. But the sad thing is that we are going to have a lot of work, but it also implies that we're going to have a lot of success.
Do you know something about the numbers, like how many new members you won this part of the new year already, or something?
For Pirate Party International?
Yeah.
4.
There are 5 new members.
5 new members this
Members
weekend?
are
Or
contract.
Yeah, this weekend.
Well, that's
Our
also
members are
formalities,
contract members.
because, well, the question is quite complicated, because we are in a process of going from informal association to a formal association. During the last conference, we've written a so-called Declaration of Common Understanding, which gives every party that existed back then the right to participate in the processes over here. And currently we are in the transition from going informal to formal. So what you just heard are formal numbers, but in reality there's over 50 pirate parties right now that we are having contact with.
Okay.
And this is also one of the things that I'm referring to when talking about professionalization. And since we are not doing this as a full-time job, we're not getting paid for this, it implies that the process isn't as fast as you expect it to be.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Maybe one last question. How do you reach agreements between, because you all come from very different background, very different culture, how can you manage to keep the consensus things going on?
How do memes survive?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's a bit like a sociological phenomenon, I think. And a lot of people always say, we can be a man, we can be a woman, we can be whatever, but we're all pirates, and everyone is a pirate. However, not everyone knows that he or she is a pirate. I can even say something nasty and tell you that it's like masturbation. No one will admit that he or she is a pirate, besides people who are members of pirate parties.
So your definition of a pirate is being a human?
Yes. Exactly, and if you take a close look at our values, they're quite humanist, yes. But that's, of course, my personal opinion.
Okay. Do you have anything to add? Because they say the pirate is a humanist guy or woman. Do you have anything to add? Also, members.
I think why we can work together is because we didn't come here to make a career or anything. We came here because we share values, we share ideas. And when you have this common core, then you can work together. And that goes almost all the time well.
What are the values you share and the ideas? Like, what are the main aims?
Well, the main aims depend on all the countries because we all are facing different contexts at the scale of our countries. But when it comes to fundamental ideas, that would be fundamental rights, access to information, culture, freedom of speech, a lot of things like this who are very basic, actually.
Well, you said that each country pursues its own goals or aims, but I thought that in 2010 you found this umbrella organization. Isn't that true that right now the PPI is like...
I think it was 2006 that we first came together informally.
Yeah, and talked about it, yeah, but it was officially like...
The formal association is... you should ask the organizers because they were going to do that paperwork. I'm not aware of that, but it was the year before the last conference where an informal association was found in Brussels. That's correct. However, the first official agreement was made in, I think, 2007 in Uppsala in Sweden.
Okay.
It's called the Uppsala Declaration, and most pirate parties signed it, and it was signed as a tool for the development of the campaigns towards the EU elections, which were a great success since the Swedes got 2 seats in the European Parliament.
Okay, so it's more an open forum of discussion actually, that umbrella organization, and you don't have real aims right now and real common goals, because you said that the goals are different in the member states, or?
There's slight differences, but we're not here to talk about what divides us, we're here to talk about what unites us.
How do you know that?
Okay, that was from my side.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
But I would like to the names of you two again, if that would be possible. Could you just write it down?
Yes, no problem.
Right, that's wrong. It will be. That would be great.
Maybe if we have free time, you are here. That's where we are. Okay, because we are not. Okay, yeah, we'll try to do that. Thanks.
On peut aussi, on a tous les postes qu'on a, on les a définis, donc tu vois, c'est ça, donc on a CPT et... Tu pourras parler au tableau en fait. On a fait un interview en Luxembourg.
Still have my PPI. Me too. It's handy right now.
And when was it started yesterday? At what time? In the morning or?
Yes, at 8.
At 8, and it ends today at 5. At 5, okay.
Just ended right now.
Yes, a couple of minutes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is maybe a little bit too big of a question for you guys, but I'm just curious what I've heard a lot of different emphases today from one country to another between the focus on intellectual property or intellectual monopoly or intellectual poverty, whatever you guys want to call it.
An ontological mistake that would cover them all.
Oh, okay. Speaking of ontological mistakes, and the focus on civil liberties, privacy, which seems, my impression is that's a little more emphasized in Germany. What is there some one unifying concept that makes a pirate party? I mean, the name pirate obviously originally was associated with the intellectual property issues. What's going to keep you guys together as a movement, as things go together? What's the unifying thread?
All pirate parties are against intellectual monopoly, and all pirate parties promote the data privacy to some extent, because data privacy also enables things we don't want. In governments, for example, there has to be a certain kind of transparency, and this is difficult. This is a different thing from your personal privacy that you have as a person. But there are different developments across the parties, and it's not always that easy to come to a common conclusion. We all know we are going into the same direction, but we are still having certain differences in some certain areas.
Maybe I can add something. The term, quote, intellectual property, unquote, is clearly a nonsense. So please do not, let's not talk about that this way in general. Because when you ask about this and we are going to answer you something, then it would be just a mess. You wouldn't follow the arguments we want to share with you if we generalize things like copyright restrictions or patents or trademarks into one topic, which are completely different fields.
The problem,
this is just a remark about this. You cannot just put, or you can, you can put this question, but it just doesn't make sense.
And it's not also the mix-up of the different kinds of regulations on things that are like in some way in the thought way of your world, not the real world. But what it also mixes up is the idea of property, because property was an idea that was conceived in early Greece, and this was really related to goods which you could handle, and the concept doesn't work in the thought world. It's a different concept in the thought world. If I have an idea and you have an idea and we share that, we have two ideas. It's not the same as with property. It's a completely different word.
You've also got the fundamental aspect that what you refer to as intellectual property is in itself a limitation on actual property rights. So trying to say that you're defending these monopolies because of some concern for property rights is in itself a contradiction. Yeah.
I could go into very detail, but then it would be a personal statement, because I cannot state as a board member. Like, for example, the thing is that in the real world we have a certain limitation on goods, so there is a use for property, but in the thought world, if you limit ideas, if you limit the possibility to improve on given ideas, you're all actually limiting the possibilities of humans. Like, you're limiting the possibility to enable more research on certain areas of ecological technologies. This is kind of a problem. Or you're limiting the possibility for certain countries which cannot afford certain medics to produce the medics for their citizens. Even if they had the opportunity, they are certainly bound to certain patent rights. But this is a personal statement, please don't.
Okay. And other thing I'd like to add to your question is that what binds us together is that we are pirates. It's definitely the faith in freedom. And why are we so often talk about copyright restrictions or patents? It's just because the freedom of information is very important. It's strictly bounded with the freedom of speech. And if you take a look all around the world, how that works, and it doesn't matter how the country is developed, the people who have the power because of the information, that they have access to information that the others don't do, and they take the advantage of that. So it doesn't matter if someone is concentrates more on or rather on human rights and someone on copyright, because they have the common ground.
Of freedom of information.
Freedom. Let's say freedom.
Yeah. When you start talking about freedom of information, you're making the same strategical choice as people who talk about internet freedom. There is no such thing as internet freedom. It's freedom. There's only one reason why you would start talking about internet freedom, and that's when you want to limit that freedom. There is no other reason for doing that. I mean, that's politics, rhetorics, etc.
Well, speaking of politics, I mean, some of the conversations I had with pirates in Sweden and Germany after the recent elections in Sweden was that there was going to be, in order to reach voters, there was going to have to be some attempt to expand the range of issues that pirates could address, not just copyright, privacy, but get into issues that voters think about when they vote, like education, the environment, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that's, individually and or collectively, do you think that's a wise way to go? And if so, what would be the coherent approach of pirates to these other areas that aren't?
Information politics, and everyone already is developing. It took the Greens 30 years. Look at where we are in 6. It's promising.
But so you do see a day when the pirates, I know some national parties already do have platforms related to education and environment. Is that going to be a wise way for the pirates to go?
A wise way?
Is that not going to diffuse the pirates' focus to the point where they get distracted?
It depends on the angle. For example, when it comes to education, there's a lot which is directly connected to, for example, imaginary property or copyright legislation, however you would like to call it. And we can make very good adjustments there, I think. For example, in the Netherlands, we're already working on that. But that's just information politics. It is an extension of the way of thinking that we all already have. But also, at the same time, I'm repeating that we're over here to talk about what we all agree upon. We're not here to talk about what we do not agree upon. And every party is developing, and I'm absolutely not worried, because when I take a close look at all the parties, I see that they're all developing in more or less the same region. Same direction, I should say.
Okay. So any other questions? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.